A good drill sergeant can make or break your Army experience. Hell, if you think about it, they kind of make or break the Army itself. Now, while you probably know drill sergeants from the movies like Major Payne, Full Metal Jacket, and the like, well, you'd probably be shocked to learn that they are really just normal people capable of human emotions.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Don't misunderstand what I just said. What you probably heard me say is that drill is your friend.
No, that's not what I said.
Negative. While drill sergeant is infused with the ability to show some level of compassion, understand this: they alone hold the key to your basic training successes or nightmares. A good drill sergeant can leave a lifelong impression on a trainee, for better or for worse. It's a weird job full of a weird mix of extremes. One minute you're eating hearts and crushing souls, and the next, well, you're a makeshift therapist listening to some privates spill their guts about why they can't complete the obstacle course because their mama's sick. Yeah, being a drill sergeant isn't just about screaming at people 24/7, though there is plenty of that.
Yes, drill sergeant!
Sometimes you gotta tap into that inner deadpan warrior because let's face it, privates can be, let's see, how do I put this nicely? Special, a slight touched, maybe. What I'm trying to say is that trainees are a lot like toddlers. Yeah, and just like with toddlers, as a drill, well, you'll find yourself as a grown adult saying the most absurd things you never imagined will come out of your mouth to another grown adult. In fact, some of the gems I found across the internet included: privates, you will not feed CLP to the wildlife. Also privates, stop feeding your berets to the wildlife. Private, why are you chasing a skunk? Private, why is your bed missing? Stop trying to sword fight with your M4s. Private, if you fart on someone again, you're getting chaptered out of the Army. I'm not telling you again. No, Private. Listen to my words carefully. Sending your whole paycheck to your girlfriend is not a sound strategy. I don't approve. And one of my personal favorites, all right, Private, let me make sure I understand what you're telling me. So you don't know how to use a washing machine or a dryer. Fine, okay. So your solution to this problem wasn't to learn how to use it, but to hide your dirty clothes instead and just be nasty instead. Is that what you're telling me? Yes, drill sergeant. Great, wonderful, fantastic. Glad we cleared that up. Awesome. Clearly, being a drill sergeant has the potential to be the best job in the world if it weren't for the fact that the hours suck, work-life balance is a joke, and trainees are basically there to make the simplest tasks 10 times harder than they need to be. The sacrifices a drill sergeant has to make is no joke. It's one of the most soul-crushing, every day is the same grind, starting at dark 30 jobs you'll ever encounter. And if you've got a spouse as a drill, well, they better be ready to go full single parent mode because you won't have time to handle squat. Damn, dude, the negativity is strong in this video. Is there any upside to this job? That's actually a great question. Why do this job? Why would anyone with borderline alcohol abuse issues and child support payments put up with this level of suck? Well, it's because despite the constant frustration and time suck this job demands, it's also ridiculously rewarding. At the end of every cycle, you get to release 60 mini versions of yourself out into the world. That's gotta be a good feeling, knowing that you've imparted all your knowledge, wisdom, and shamming techniques onto a new generation of future E4 Mafia members. Plus, once it's all over, you get to wear a cool badge, and let's face it, man, the hat's pretty cool too. Damn, that's cool. It's the mission of a drill sergeant to be the best damn leader they can be. No half-ass in here. The job is to turn out a living, breathing product that can shoot straight, march in step, and remember not to lock their damn knees in formation. These soldiers will be your legacy, a walking, talking, PT crushing testament to the standard you've set. Okay, maybe PT crushing is a bit of a stretch. How about PT passing? I'd even settle for that. Anyway, drill isn't just shaping troops, they're building the next generation that'll carry on the legacy long after they've left the uniform behind. This obsession with getting it right, it's stitched right into the motto every drill sergeant rocks on their badge. This will defend. All right, so let's address the UCMJ elephant in the room. Are there bad drill sergeants? Yeah, of course there are. But what makes for a good one? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. If you're a good NCO, well, you'll make a good drill. And if you're a bad NCO, you'll make a bad drill. Easy. The hat and badge don't magically make you an expert. They just give you more responsibility and power. But don't let that go to your head. Trainees might be dumb, but they're not stupid.
Your Honor, I object!
And why is that, Mr. Reed?
Because it's devastating to my case!
Overruled.
Good call!
Now I know it's damn near impossible to look at a fresh batch of privates and see anything other than drooling attention-seeking maggots, but trust me, they can absolutely tell the difference between a drill sergeant who's legit and one who's just on a power trip. As a drill sergeant, your power base is everything. It's what gives you the leverage and charisma to turn a pack of clueless trainees into soldiers who will follow you into fire without question. Once you earn that respect, they'll follow you through thick and thin and the inevitable shitstorm. Dang, that hat sounds serious. How do I get one? That's a good question, and the answer really depends on where you're coming from. Because here's the thing, if you're active duty, you're usually DA selected, which is a nice way to say that the Army needs drill sergeants and tag you're it.
Dang it.
Y'all know the deal. Getting voluntold for assignments is just part of the fine print in that contract they conveniently forgot to mention when you signed up. You thought you were in control? Ha! And while it's mostly a you've been chosen, now suck it up situation, there are a few brave, albeit insane souls who volunteer for drill sergeant duty. Now, if you're a National Guard soldier, your path to becoming a drill sergeant usually runs through RSP, where you'll spend your time prepping soldiers prior to them shipping for basic. It's kind of like babysitting, but with more paperwork and way less nap time. I myself was an RSP soldier and showed up on my first day having never shaved a day in my life. I'll let you use your imagination on how well you think that went. Now, if you're in the reserves, I gotta be honest, I don't fully get how that works. Someone explain that to me. Are y'all part-time drill sergeants on drill status or something? I mean, it kind of sounds like y'all are juggling flaming chainsaws while blindfolded from what I've seen on Reddit. Now, if you're a reserve drill sergeant, please drop a comment down below and enlighten me, because either way, it sounds like a logistical nightmare. But no matter what path you take, all roads lead to the same place. The land where drill sergeants are forged from solid billets of iron and the sweat of terrified privates. Drill Sergeant Academy. Welcome to good old Fort Jackson, nestled in the armpit of humidity known as Columbia, South Carolina. This is where drill sergeants are made. Remember BCT? Well, say hello to BCT 2.0. It's the same fun-filled activities right down to the shark attack on day 0, or whatever the hell they're calling it now, the first 100 yards or whatever. Fun fact, I went through basic at Fort Jackson myself, or as everyone else called it, Relaxin' Jackson, which my drill sergeants must have been offended by because they swung completely in the opposite direction when it came to my class. But I digress. Anyway, just like any good military school, you'd better show up prepared. And yeah, I know that sounds weird. Like, how do you even prepare for a career yelling at privates and telling them that they suck 24/7?
Up here for a week and a half, full of soda flavor. It looks like an old man. You have to be done. You fat body!
Despite what you may think, there's actually a little more to it than that. First of all, you better be in shape.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Listen to my words carefully. I said you need to be in shape, not a shape. You're gonna need a solid 70% or better in each event of the ACFT, and you better be passing height and weight. So it might be time to put down the donuts and pick up the dumbbells, especially if you're carrying more tactical insulation than your average soldier.
It don't slap me!
And if a drill sergeant hopeful is feeling extra motivated, they'll spend some more time learning the modules they'll be expected to know. We're talking about everything from marching to the M4 manual of arms to formations. But the real bread and butter are what they call the top 3 or big 3 modules. These are the holy trinities that candidates are expected to master before they even step foot at the academy, which includes the position of attention, rest positions at the halt, and the hand salute. It's a solid idea to show up with this stuff locked down because the Drill Sergeant Academy will humble you quick, fast, and in a hurry. And if you're a sergeant first class thinking you're hot stuff, well, prepare to have your ego handed to you hard by a staff sergeant because you're in their world now. So what else will you experience at Drill Sergeant Academy? Well, you'll get to relive some of the most cherished basic training moments, like waking up at an ungodly hour for PT, sitting through classroom instruction, mastering drill and ceremony, enduring field training, sweating through ruck marches, and crushing PT tests. Oh, and let's not forget weapons qualifications, FTXs, confidence courses, obstacle courses, the rappel tower, and my personal revenge story favorite, the gas chamber. For any future drill sergeants watching this video, just remember that feeling next time you're tempted to put a little extra seasoning in that chamber for the privates. Karma's waiting for you on the other side, and she's not the dancer you met at Big Louie's last Thursday night. Now, just like BCT, the name of the game is training. Bro, what the heck? Are you just gonna sit there and pretend like you just didn't make a strip club joke in the middle of this serious video right now? You'll be graded on leadership and teamwork. Really? Unfreaking believable. You'll have plenty of chances, and I do mean plenty, to lead PT, teach classes, pitch modules, call cadences, and run drill and ceremony like it's second nature. Basically, everything your old drill sergeant did to you, you're about to do that too. Only this time it's your turn to get picked apart by the drill sergeant leaders or DSLs. And they've heard that joke plenty enough already, so don't even make it. And you'll be evaluated very closely. The academy is not known for being a forgiving place. If you screw up, you will be recycled. Kind of like how they do at BCT. But there is some good news. Unlike BCT, you'll usually have your evenings and weekends off. Plus you'll have access to your cell phone, just not in class. So whatever you do, don't be that guy who brings his phone in class. Also, and this is a big one, so bring it in. You've got 2 paths to choose from. You can spend your evenings getting hammered, partying every weekend, and chasing your next fling, or you can be professional with your time. Many a career and marriage gets ruined at the academy, so just keep that in mind, just throwing that out there. Now, we've talked a lot about what you can expect to learn at the Drill Sergeant Academy. Well, here's what you aren't gonna get. Don't expect high-level leadership classes where they'll teach you how to deal with privates, except the basic rule, which is don't touch them. So when you say don't touch them, you mean like,
Don't touch it!
All right.
seems like common sense, right? But let's just say that more than a few hats have been snatched up over privates touching privates. Not privates as in fellow trainees, but you know, like the other kind of, the privates that are, hey, you talk about touching wieners, ain't you? Yes, that. Thank you. Jeez, what were we talking about again? You were talking about touching on Wayne. Now, once you've survived all the misery and suck, a shiny new drill sergeant is formed and released into the wild, ready to impose their will on a new batch of soldier hopefuls. And unfortunately, as most find out, drill sergeant school was actually the easy part. What comes next is one of the most physically and mentally demanding assignments an NCO could ever have the displeasure to serve in. Time to get on the trail. Finally, it's time for a fresh drill to put all that training to work with your first batch of trainees. As a drill sergeant, you're expected to be the Jedi master of all things training. Your primary mission is a simple but weighty one. Mold the soldier capable of winning wars and making it home to their family in one piece. Your secondary mission? Keep the trainees alive. Their parents didn't send them to you to break them. They trust you to teach them, push them, and protect them. Mission first, but taking care of your soldiers always runs a close second. Now, if teaching a bunch of young, clueless recruits how to be soldiers, you know, showing them how to tie their boots and reminding them to watch their nasty bodies sounds exhausting, that's because it is. The hours are brutal. You're waking up at 0300, on the clock by 0400, and you're not leaving until 2100. Basically, when them privates are awake, so are you. Wherever they go, you go. For better or worse, these trainees end up consuming all your time, and if you've got a family, well, they'll need to understand that you're basically on a deployment. And when you do make it home, well, good luck being anything other than a zombie, just completely drained mentally and physically. Dude, you are doing it again. Doing what? You're making this job sound really, really shitty. Look guys, we keep it real on this channel.
I keep it real!
This job is not all sunshine and stripper poles. It's a time suck, and these trainees, y'all, this generation of soldier, here's the thing. For all the future drills out there, the key is not to let these trainees get under your skin. They're going to mess up, constantly, in fact. They're like preteens that got dropped on their heads one too many times. A good drill won't let a trainee actually make them angry. These kids are different from the ones that you might have dealt with in the past. They are smart, and they are gonna have a lot of questions. Long gone are the days where you just say, because I told you so. Because now you gotta explain yourself, which I firmly disagree with, but it is what it is, I guess. That said, these kids come with their own set of baggage too. Many of them have faced more adversity by the time they reach to you than you can imagine. Some of them are dealing with trauma, mental issues, or just straight up are in survival mode. That's why as a drill sergeant, you almost need a psychology degree just to deal with the wide range of problems these recruits bring to basic training.
Catch me outside, how about that?
What does that mean?
What I just said.
Are you delusional? Do you suffer from a mental illness?
It's moments like this when you have to drop the drill sergeant act and become a teacher. Effective leadership requires you to be a coach, constantly observing and correcting. A drill sergeant is often the first real example of an NCO that new soldiers encounter, and hell, in a lot of cases, a drill sergeant may be the first strong positive role model they've ever encountered, period. You're not there just to break them down, you're also responsible for building them back up. A good drill sergeant teaches and coaches as much as they lead. That means you've got to adapt and do it fast. Leading a platoon of young, confused, and occasionally questionable human beings requires adaptive leadership. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. In a few short weeks, you have to turn this daycare into a fighting force. I read a story on Reddit about a drill sergeant that went full Dr. Seuss on his trainees with a banana. He peeled it in 3 different ways by pulling the stem, popping the bottom, and snapping it in half. What's the moral of the story here? There's more than one way to peel a banana. And I guess in the Army, there's more than one way to peel back the layers of confusion these kids show up with. It's kind of a stupid analogy, but it works. But just because you're flexible like a yoga instructor on caffeine doesn't mean you're going soft. Adaptive leadership isn't about coddling them, it's about finding the best way to turn these clueless skeeter wings into soldiers who don't trip over their own bootlaces. You're building a legacy to leave behind, and that's just so rewarding. Or at least it would be if it wasn't for hat hunters. Because no matter how much effort you put into molding each and every private into something that resembles a soldier, there's always that one asshole on the hunt for your campaign hat. The hat hunters. The back-in-my-dayers. Crusty command sergeant majors and commanders who apparently have a hard-on for spending their days plotting the end of a drill sergeant's career over the smallest infractions. Being a drill sergeant is like having a permanent target on your back. You're trusted with the lives of trainees from the time they wake up till they go to bed for weeks on end. But your leadership, on the other hand, well, they trust you about as much as I can trust you can resist visiting Cinnamon down at the local gentleman's club after you looked me dead in my eyes and told me, "Sir, I have learned my lesson. I will never give another dancer access to my credit card again."
Stop the cap.
I even read a story on Reddit about a sergeant major who lined his office with the campaign hats of drill sergeants whose careers he'd ended.
Something wrong.
Of course not. This is a lovely room of death. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Yeah, sounds like a nice guy. Now I'm sure some of them deserved it, but all of them? That's pushing it. You spent a lot of time sifting through Reddit for this video, didn't you? You're constantly 3 seconds away from getting chewed out over the dumbest stuff. You just gonna keep ignoring me this whole video, aren't you? Did you seriously just cuss in front of trainees? We never do that in the Army. That better not be you, drill, wearing a fleece cap in negative 10-degree weather while marching trainees through a snowstorm. How dare you? You better freeze for the hat. Here's the thing, at the end of the day, I think we can all agree that the Army is getting softer, and I'm not here to get into why. But if you're thinking you're gonna go full metal jacket on these kids, just know that those days are pretty much over. Now you're more likely to get in trouble for hurting someone's feelings than anything else. Despite all that nonsense, here's the kicker. Being a drill sergeant might drive you insane, but it's also one of the most rewarding jobs in the Army. You're building the next generation of warriors, turning these walking, talking disasters into something that might resemble a soldier. Might resemble a soldier. You're passing everything down to them, your mannerisms, your knowledge, and your "I swear if you ask me again, I'm gonna lose it" attitude to the next crop of troops. It's frustrating, it's exhausting, but man, it's so worth it. Drill sergeant duty is rough, no doubt about it, but when you see those trainees turn into soldiers, watching them crush obstacles they didn't think that they could handle, that's where the true reward kicks in. You'll spend most of your time acting mad about the dumbest things, but every now and then, you'll set the hat aside and show them that you're human too. And that's where the real magic happens, when they realize you're not just a yelling machine, but you're there to help them to succeed. You're gonna give up a lot of time while you're on the trail. You'll give up personal time, sleep, maybe even a few years off your life expectancy. But ultimately, at the end of the day, when families see their sons, their daughters, brothers, sisters, or that one cousin they never thought would make it as a soldier, It's all worth it. The transformation is undeniable. The awkward, confused civilian is now standing tall as a soldier, full of confidence, discipline, and just the right amount of yes, drill sergeant. It's moments like that when you realize that all the yelling, all the early mornings, and all the sacrifices have paid off. You've built something real, and the proof is standing right in front of you in uniform. Now, this level of dedication isn't something that just happens. It's built into the very fiber of every drill sergeant. So instead of my usual like, comment, and subscribe, I'm going to leave you with the creed that every drill sergeant lives by.
The Drill Sergeant Creed. I am a drill sergeant. I will assist each individual in their efforts to become a highly motivated, well-disciplined, physically and mentally fit soldier, capable of defeating any enemy on today's modern battlefield. I will instill pride in all I train, pride in self, in the Army, and in country. I will insist that each soldier meets and maintains the Army standards of military bearing and courtesy, consistent with the highest traditions of the U.S. Army. I will lead by example, never requiring a soldier to attempt any task I would not do myself. But first, last, and always, I am an American soldier, sworn to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. I am a drill sergeant. This will defend